Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I am back with a new video. This, 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 these are my least favorite books that I read in the year of 2022. We're finally here again. Better late than never. I will probably not do Vlogmas for a while. That's why the delay in these videos, because usually I get these out the first week or so of January, but yeah, December was not kind, and so everything from then got pushed back. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. Man, I have got 5 books, sorry, to talk to you about. Before I go on, disclaimers. My upstairs neighbor likes to practice their bass, and they're currently doing so now. I think up to this point, I have successfully avoided recording uh, while they were playing, and it's just not, that I know their schedule because they do it whenever they feel like it, but yeah, that's not the case right now. So if you can hear that, enjoy the music, I guess. Not in any particular order because I was having a hard time picking, and so I was going back and forth through all the books I read. And yeah, so first I want to talk about this manga, Seaside Stranger Volume 1 by Kanna. This is a boy love romance between two supposedly adult men. Um, and at a seaside or island resort type of town. One's mother had passed away recently, and so he's very sad, and he kind of sits and mopes around. And the other works at this kind of seaside shop, and he sees him, and he's like, "Hey, we should be friends or whatever." And the other one, it's like, "Okay, I guess." They strike up a friendship and then supposedly a relationship, and then the one who was moping around decides to leave the island, and he promises to contact the other dude, but he never does. 3 years later, he shows up like, "Hey," and the other dude is like, "What?" And we go from there. I did not like this. Enough that I don't want to finish this series. Enough that this is among my least favorite books read. Because there were other mangas in November and December. I challenged myself to, instead of try a chapter, try a manga volume. And I read a lot of volume ones. I did not decide to continue with the series of all of them. And so there are others that I didn't like, or I wasn't pulled to. But this one, I disliked greatly. There is some sexual coercion in here, and I knew that going in, so, but added to the rest of the story, it did not help at all. Like, not even a little bit, let me tell you. Just one, the art style is not bad, but they look hella young. And they're both supposed to be in their 20s for the majority of this book. One is several years older than the other, not like a whole decade, but like 3 or 4 years maybe. Don't see it. They both look like teenagers, which fits because this was really dramatic for no reason, in my opinion. Also, and this happens in comics and manga, but in this one, it was like really a detriment to me. It seems like we were jumping time between scenes, and I wasn't understanding the previous scene, why that was so significant, because it seems like there were instances but their relationship, I didn't find it believable. That's why I said they supposedly because I was like, where is the work put in to show me that this relationship turned romantic, really. It was just all of a sudden, to me. And I guess the author wanted to get to the adult part or the later aspect because that was the majority of the manga. But I mean, these things come out serialized, and so I don't know. I don't know, but it wasn't working for me. Then the ex girlfriend showed up, and it was dramatic. The one guy's girlfriends, like female friends, were like meddling, and it was annoying. I was just like, y'all not helping this situation. And the other guy coming back, like he really acted like, hey, I know you waited for me, so let's get this relationship started. And I was just like, the other dude who stayed behind was clearly conflicted, but I don't like the foundation wasn't there for their relationship. So I was just like, what are you conflicted about? It's been 3 years. Y'all barely had a relationship. So what's to be conflicted? No, it's a no for me. Next, I want to talk about Shuri number 7 by Vita Ayala and Kirby Fagan. So I was reading the Shuri comics written by Nnedi Okorafor, and then halfway through issues 6 and 7 were by these other people. And I was like, the hell is this? And I know this happens in comics a lot. The artists and the writers, they change. I get it. And usually I don't have a huge problem with that. Like, it's a slight annoyance, but the story goes on, whatever, right? It's a switch, usually in tone as well. And so it's always a little jarring, but I go with it. Obviously, I went with it this time too because I did finish all 10 issues, but I did not like this art style. Shuri looked old all of a sudden, and then she had an attitude. Like, I think it was volume 6, which was it was 6 and 7. 6, I was like, But 7, Shuri all of a sudden got very bossy and pushy towards the other heroes that she was working with, and it was just like, girl, y'all are a team. That was the whole point of this. The other reason why I didn't like this particular issue is because it made me fully realize that the two were pointless. We had a storyline going with Shuri in this 10 issues. T'Challa was missing. She had to take up the mantle of the Black Panther. She didn't want to. She didn't want to take over as, the ruler of the Wakanda either. There was this trying to stave off greed, but also finding her brother and that kind of thing, right? And then there's the alien aspect. Then all of a sudden, she gets a call, and she finds out that there might be an alien in Queens or Brooklyn in New York City. So she goes, and there's the other superheroes, and like, okay, but that was 6, but 7. At the end of 6, they decide to team up and work together. But 7, she was giving so much attitude and not really, in my opinion, working together until, somebody talked to her. But then it was the whole alien situation turned out to not be anything to do with her alien situation. So she just went back home, and then we go to issue 8, went back to the original writers and artists, and we continue that. And I was just like, what was the point? What was the point? I could have literally skipped these and moved on, because at the end of issue 7, like, Shuri learns a lesson, and that's all well and good, but did she? because that lesson doesn't show up in issue 8 through 10. It doesn't have any impact on the rest, and I was just like, this was frustrating. I didn't like it. Moving on. Flock by Kate Stewart. Oh my goodness. I read this, and two of these books and my least favorites of the year were from this book club, unfortunately, which I think I wound up not participating in anymore. And it's not to say that they picked bad books, but it wasn't for me. It just says it didn't work out for me. But I wanted to read more romance, be exposed to current romance readers and tropes and things like that, and talk about them with people. And I like both of the hosts and their personalities and their channels, so check them out, link in the description. But Flock, and I'm mad because every time I think about this book, I'm like, maybe I should read the second one. I refuse. This was supposed to be a reverse harem Robin Hood kind of retelling romance. We're following this girl that her parents had divorced or were separated years ago. She's been growing up living with her mother, staying away from her dad. But she's trying to go to school. I think her mom passed away, and she needs the money, so she agrees to live with her dad and work in his factory that he owns. He's a rich man with, businesses, and she's going to try to get to know him or whatever because they've been estranged. While she's there, she starts finding out these things about the town because everybody in the town works at this factory there for her dad. People have some bad feelings towards him, but she gets in with this guy who's kind of a supervisor at the factory, and they start being friends, but we already know it's going towards a relationship. They start hanging out together or whatever, and she meets some of his other friends, but one guy doesn't want to talk to her and the other guy's just like, hey, what's up? But the one dude is a real douche. There's these other people around all the time, and they have all of these secrets and whatnot, but this dude is like, you gotta trust me and all this bullshit. The chemistry was there. The chemistry was there. I feel like this is really well written. The romance was good. The sex scenes were good. We got, both a traditional romance, but also like a kind of hate to love thing. There's not BDSM. There's a little bit of DS in there and whatnot, but the ending of this book ruined it for me because there were things going along. Like, I don't mind reading a dark romance at all. Like, I do like them. I seek them out at certain times because that's what I need. That's what I want. And in this case, the dark was all of the lying and secret keeping, but also like the pushing of her boundaries, I guess. So this wasn't super dark, just to be perfectly honest. There was no, abuse or sexual assault. I feel like there was definitely manipulation, hella gaslighting. Like, what are you talking about? You didn't see this or you saw that, blah, 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 blah. Like, that didn't happen, right? And I can go along with those things as long as it comes to one, a happy ending, satisfying conclusion, but also like it has to make sense. Make it make sense, even if it's just in the bounds of the cover of your book. Make it make sense. But we get to the end. They have this huge blowout fight. She starts figuring things out, and I'm just like, well, what? Why were they acting that way? Like, dude's whole thing was just like, oh, expand your mind. Don't listen to what society says. You can be whoever you want to be. The type of relationship we have is not a problem. But then the douchebag was just like, oh, you're not good enough, and you're not worth my time, and you're not this and you're not that, blah blah blah. He was an asshole to her. Um and she was going through it because she clearly felt attraction to the other guy, but she was really liking the first one, and they are best friends. So that was a problem for her, and they just let her stew in that on purpose as a distraction. And that bothered me, but I was like, okay, but then like things will be revealed, and but we get it was a cliffhanger. Another person is introduced at the very end. We don't know who it is. And the whole Robin Hood part of it was nary to be seen. I was like, the reasons I'm in this that I stuck through are all useless. And I was very upset. I'm like, I paid for this book. This is not a library book because it's not available in the library. And I'm like, I'm not reading another book to get the conclusion to this story. No, no. I know I seem very ridiculous right now, but this is how I feel. If I read the other half of this, please don't judge me, please. Like, anyway, the next book I want to talk about is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. Again, trying to read more romance again, getting back into things. I've read Julia Quinn before. Obviously, this is book 2 in the Bridgerton series, very popular on Netflix. I wanted to read these. I like historical romance and, the Regency era, Victorian England, whatever they want to say. I I've read many of those, maybe even probably some Julia Quinn. I don't remember which ones of hers I read, but it wasn't in this series. So I read the first one. I liked it enough to continue. There's just not great writing in this. Like, not horrible. When it comes to writing and writing styles, I'm not too pushy about that. I don't have strong opinions about that. I will read nonsense. I'm gonna say it out loud here. I read fan fiction, and it's not quite often. It's not good writing at all. But like, if I can get the point, and if it's written well enough that I understand, I'll read it and keep it moving. Like, if there's a couple of tropes or themes or characters that I like, I keep going. It's fine. Like, that doesn't stop me or pull me down or whatever. I'll just be like, it was okay. Or I liked it. Sometimes I love it and the writing is great. So, yeah. Unfortunately, here, it wasn't the whole book. There were just certain things that I was just like, you couldn't do better than this. And so I haven't finished this series because I was just like, it became a non-priority for me. This series, we're following 8 siblings, which is an enormous amount of kids for a Regency era family. Their parents, uh, kind of an arranged marriage, but also like they loved each other and they loved their children. Their children, all 8 of them, love each other. Um, and the first book was the eldest son. Now we're with the second eldest son, and his love interest, who is this girl from a family who is not as well off as the Bridgertons. And I felt they had chemistry. I was good with it. The whole subplot, it kept going and I was interested. But the thing is, right, this guy's like, I'm never getting married. Nope. And I get that. They were forced to marry each other for the stupidest reason. I was that what? That's that's the best you could do? I'm still like, what? So And then after that, the whole forced, not when they don't speak to each other, they don't explain how they feel or whatever. I'm forgetting what that is. If I remember while editing, I'll put it on the screen here. I couldn't buy it after that. It was a toss up whether I put this in most disappointing or least favorite. That was disappointing. I was just like, that was dumb. And we just kept that going. Not that it wasn't realistic, but really. So moving on. The last book I'm going to talk to you about is The Dark Mafia Prince by Annika Martin. This was the second pick from the Swoon Sisters book club that has landed in my least favorite books list. And this is my first Mafia romance. I kind of took a vow. I'm not going to read Mafia romance. I don't like gang stuff really, and Mafia is just like the next level to that. It doesn't, I can't say all of them because some sound really intriguing, but I avoid like that kind of thing in urban fiction as well because honestly I feel like it's a little too close to real life for me. Growing up, I was not in the gang, but I don't find comfort in those. I don't find enjoyment in that most of the time. So yeah. But this was the book club pick and I said, well, I guess maybe I'll give it a shot, right? It's not the author's issue, it's my own. The mafia aspect was the part that I liked the most. I'm ready to admit that my favorite bookish trope, no matter the genre, really is found family. So I get that things like motorcycle clubs and gangs and uh, mafia romances can definitely have that aspect. And when we're talking about romance series, I do like one of the reasons why I was interested in the Bridgertons is when we follow various members of a family, whether they're related by blood or close friend ties or found family, and we see each person fall in love, get their happy ending. Like that's wonderful. And then they support each other. Like I love that. Here we have two brothers who were, I guess, the princes, the heirs to some mafia family. They were really young. One of their father's henchmen. I'm just going to use these terms that are not in the book because I can't remember. They killed their parents and went after the sons, but one of the other henchmen kind of saved one kid. So they're thought to be dead, and that guy who killed their parents and took over their mafia, and he has this daughter who kind of pretends that she's just a rich socialite, but she really has nothing to do with the whole mafia thing. The kids grow up. We're following one brother, and he grows up with this idea of revenge fed to him by the guy who saved him. And so he gets old enough, he comes up with a plan. He kind of gets his own people to rally behind him, and he attacks those who killed his father, and he uses the daughter to kind of do that. He kidnaps her and all of that stuff, and they trying to find his. Then goes to try to find his brother, and that part didn't bother me. The chemistry between the two didn't bother me. It's the fact that the plot didn't wrap up really here. I felt like once we got past the whole kidnapping and whatnot, the author didn't really know what to do with this story. Like, what to do with these two people so that they're in a situation and can then fall in love with each other. It felt all over the place. I was kind of bored. It was, I mean, you might be like dullish, but it was kind of unrealistic after that. So I was just like, Y'all ain't bloodthirsty. So, oh wait, there are three brothers, and two had found each other, and one is like a robot, and like all he's just like violence and killing. The other one is the eldest brother, and they are looking for the youngest. Um, I feel like that wound up being a major plot thing that never went anywhere, and I was just like, huh? There were some choices by the two main that I was just like, that don't make no sense. I I I don't feel like the romance either was really solidly wrapped up. So I was like, I don't even have words for what's not there. I'm assuming the next book will be about the second brother, and that's fine. But I need the first brother's situation to somehow have some conclusion here, right? Like even if he's going to be in the background in the next book, he's going to be in the background, not the foreground. So what is I don't know. It was very weird, but maybe the way romances are written now are different than what I was used to. So I don't know. But yeah, those are my least favorite books of 2022. Let me know in the comments down below what were your least favorite books. Did you read any of these? What did you think? God, every time I think about Flock, I'm just like, but I wonder what happens next. So I have to pay. I have to pay. I don't want to. Oh, like this video if you liked it, guys. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. What do I want to say? Links in the description to everything I talked about, as well as my social media, Instagram, Twitter, if you like to follow me on any of those, my Storygraph, and Goodreads if you would like to friend and or follow me on those either. See what I'm reading in real time. And link a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make all natural bath and body products for witchy and mundane purposes. That code is for you to get a discount, including on custom made items. So do check that out. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.